Hey, look what I found. Rob Zombie Halloween remake 2-pack.
Oh, hey. Where did you find this one?
Down the crapper.
What? Gross!
Like the movie. Hello and welcome to Random Movie Time. Today's feature is the 2009 horror movie remake Halloween 2, directed by Rob Zombie, starring Malcolm McDowell, Tyler Mane, Sherri Moon Zombie, Brad Dourif, and Scout Taylor-Compton. So this tells the story of what happens immediately after the first movie, when everybody thinks that the serial killer Michael Myers is dead, and teenager Laurie Strode and her friend have just barely escaped with their life. And after a small period of readjustment over 1 year, they finally think they're safe again. But what do you know? Michael Myers pops up again and starts terrorizing them and the town. Well, what did you think of this movie, Shannon?
I liked it. And I have to preamble this by saying I have never seen any of the Halloween movies. I haven't even seen the John Carpenter ones. So this I looked at with fresh eyes. So looking at it as a Halloween movie virgin, I actually quite liked it. Although it was a bit too gory for me at parts. I'm not a big hack and slash, especially since now they can make it look so real. And it disturbs me too much. Fortunately, there wasn't, after the first scenes, there wasn't too much gore after that. You just see a bunch of blood and stuff, but that's different than seeing people's guts and stuff like that. So that part of it I wasn't too keen on. However, I thought Rob Zombie did quite a good job at directing. I thought the mood was really good. The shots were done very nicely, and the acting was quite good as well. And there are a lot of familiar faces in this movie. As Tommy was saying, Malcolm McDowell and but there were also some cameos that were really cool. Like the Howard Hesseman showed up in there. I knew Howard Hesseman. My first encounter with Howard Hesseman was from WKRP, of course. It's Dr. Johnny Fever and head of the class as well. But he's done numerous things, so that's cool. Another notable cameo I noticed was Dayton Callie, who played one of the cops he was one of the main characters in Sons of Anarchy, and everything I've ever seen him in, he does quite a good job. So there was a lot of great acting. I think overall I found it very entertaining. And it was suspenseful. I could have done without some of the more graphic gore, but that's just not my bag. Some people love that stuff, but for me, it's just I just can't watch it. What about you, Tommy? What do you say about this?
I didn't like it too much. This is the third Rob Zombie movie that I've tried. His first movie was House of 1,000 Corpses, and then he did the sequel to that, The Devil's Rejects. I thought the problem with both of them was that the tone was kind of inconsistent. Like you didn't know when the horror was supposed to be funny or when it was supposed to be tragic, and it's just like you never felt like you could just go along for the ride, which is important with these kinds of horror movies, I think. And although the second one was a bit better, I thought The Devil's Rejects was a lot better than House of 1,000 Corpses. This movie had the same problems. It had like sort of all over the place, an all over the place tone to it. Sometimes like way too violent, as you were saying, and sometimes cheesy, and sometimes it was trying to be funny. I don't know. It's just it didn't work for me. I just think Rob Zombie's style just doesn't work for me for whatever reason. I think he's a good musician and he seems like a cool guy, like in interviews and everything. But the movie just didn't really do it for me. I did like some of the actors, as you said. The acting was pretty good. Cinematography and everything was pretty good. I liked some of the cameos too, like Howard Hesseman. Weird Al Yankovic, his cameo was probably my favorite part.
Really funny.
Yeah, I'm a big Weird Al fan. The characters who I thought were kind of annoying were the teenagers. There are these 3 teenage girls in the movie, and they all speak with that kind of annoying vocal fry pattern, they call it, and yeah, they were a little cheesy, I found, but I think they were written that way, so it might not be the actor's fault. There was also that musical sequence. I think it was the Reverend Horton Heat, but we'll have to check that. Sort of in this weird nightclub / brothel. I'm not quite sure what was going on there.
Yeah, topless dancers
/ Halloween party.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it was an okay movie. It definitely held your attention. It was interesting enough. But I wouldn't really recommend it for horror movie fans. The original, until now, the only Halloween movie I've actually seen from start to finish was the original John Carpenter one. And I'm sure that's just the best one that there is. I know that all the other ones are just sort of copying it, and haven't we had enough Halloween movies and Friday the 13th movies at this point? Probably.
It seems to me that it's kind of the time, you know what I mean? Like, that era was... I mean, to me there's been a paradigm shift away from that sort of film. I mean, those were really, really popular back in the day. But I think that people, I don't know, I guess there are people out there who like these, slasher movies still, but I don't know. I think it's just not the right time for it anymore. I don't think it
doesn't feel original or exciting anymore, and they can't really surprise you with any twists anymore, I find,
Yeah, I mean, the only way you can go is try to do shock value, more and more shock value. And does that make a good movie? It doesn't make a good movie. The only way to go is try to be a bit more sophisticated, you know what I mean? More smart about your writing.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that I liked this movie, because I am not a slasher flick person. So, I don't know. I mean, I think the tone was I think it was well executed, personally. I mean, I think that these are, 3 teenage girls, and they're being teenage girls, and I think that the humor was appropriate where it was placed, and I don't know how much of a villain the Doctor is in the original films.
I don't think as much as this.
Yeah, that's one thing that did bother me a little, was I think that, they really make him over the top, like a caricature almost, and that doesn't fit in with the tone of the movie, that's for sure. And then all these people are getting mad at him, blaming him for the killings and all that.
I guess it's because he released Michael Myers from the sanitarium too early or something. I'm not quite sure why people are blaming him for the killers. It's been too long since I saw the original, and I didn't see the first part of this movie, or the first one of this movie, a Halloween 1 remake by Rob Zombie, so I'm not quite sure why people were pissed off, but I'm assuming that's why, because he actually made the decision to let Mike Myers out of the institute where they were keeping him.
It was a bit like a commentary, I found like it was a bit of a commentary. The doctor is kind of cashing in on people's misery, and he has his 15 minutes of fame. And
All right, so how many William Shatner masks will you give this one?
Well, I will give it 3.5 William Shatner masks. I do like this film, but yes, I do see problems with it. And I am not, because I haven't seen the originals, I don't really have anything to compare it to. So maybe if I did see the original, because I really do like John Carpenter, maybe my opinion would change. But as a standalone film, I quite liked it. The acting was good. The shots were nice. And it was well written, in my opinion, with a few exceptions, like the doctor character. But yeah, 3.5. What about you?
I'll give it 2 William Shatner masks out of 5. As I said, I thought it was okay, but I didn't like it that much. I liked some of the cameos, I liked some of the acting, some of the shots, but it's not really a movie I can wholeheartedly recommend, but it is an okay time waster if you happen to see it. So
yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. But I think anybody who goes in watching a Halloween movie doesn't expect sunshine and rainbows. So there you go.
Well, I guess we'd better start working on our Halloween costume. It's getting late and everybody else is already out partying. So we'll see you next time on Random Movie Time.